Hey teachers, Brother Judd here, and Merry Christmas. I'm grateful that it's this time of year and that we can start celebrating the Christmas season and looking forward to wrapping up seminary, and thank you for all that you do. I have some help for your lesson here in Moroni chapter 8. Moroni chapter 8 focuses around the idea of infants not needing baptism, and this is a really well put together lesson. I can wholeheartedly endorse the curriculum here, and it will give you and your students a really good opportunity of going through the scriptures and learning what the Lord teaches about why baptism is necessary, why children don't need baptism, and just teaches some things generally about repentance and baptism and accountability and all of that. So, as I said, this lesson is really well put together, and I just have one idea to help your students get more out of it. So the learning activity is something that I often like doing with my students. It gives you kind of a how would you respond? And it focuses around the story that President Packer tells about a couple of missionaries who find themselves amidst a group, and there was a child that had drowned, and the parents ask for the missionaries to come and say something. And there is another pastor that's there, and he says, how awful that the parents didn't baptize their infant. They didn't baptize their son. And so, now he's going to hell and endless torment. And then the missionaries are asked to say something. And the prompt is to imagine that you were one of the missionaries in the situation, and what would you do? Now, this is a heavy story and a very charged situation. And so my guess is if we don't set the story and the response up correctly, you could say, all right, students, I want you to watch this quote or read this quote from President Packer, and how would you respond? And if we don't set it up right, the response is going to be, I have no idea. And so just a couple of ideas on how you can set this story up and how you can set your class up in such a way that you can get more responses. I might say something like this. All right, guys, I'm going to share a quote with you that's a pretty heavy story. And if you don't know how to respond or how you would respond in this situation, that's totally fine, because we're going to work on this throughout the rest of today. But I'm really curious if any of you, after we watch this video or read the quote, I'm really curious just if any of you would be willing to just give me your hot take. I know it's not going to be like a fully thought out, perfect answer, but we don't always have a chance to give a perfect answer. And so if you can give me your imperfect answers, I think it will really help us as a class talk about the things that we need to talk about today. So why I would do that is it kind of lowers the bar for your students. It lets them know you're not expecting something perfect. You just want to get their honest and immediate reaction. I'll often, in my institute classes, I'll prime somebody before we handle a difficult topic or a difficult situation, and I'll say, hey, Jeannie, we're going to read a quote, and after we read the quote, can I get your hot take? I mean, I don't want you to think too much about it. I just want to get your immediate reaction. Would that be okay? And usually they say yes. Sometimes students say no. But by asking one student beforehand, a student that you trust, that gives them a chance to listen with the idea that they will be the first one to answer. And it also gives the students, the other students, an opportunity to watch somebody else handle the question or the situation before they feel like they have to respond. So don't be afraid to ask a particular student. So in this situation, you could say, hey, Jeannie, we're going to listen to a quote from President Packer. I want you to imagine you're one of the missionaries. And I know you probably won't have a perfect response to it, but will you be prepared to just give me like the first thing off the top of your head when we finish this quote? What would you do if you were in the missionary situation? And then hopefully she'll be ready to share something. And if not, maybe she's like, I have no idea what I would say. Then you could say, you see, guys, I told you this is a really, really hard situation. So let's listen to it one more time. And I want everybody to be thinking, what would you do if you were in this situation? And if none of you have an idea, then great. That means, we're really going to benefit from what we have to study out of the scriptures today. Because I hope by the end of this, maybe we'll watch the video again or read the quote again, and then hopefully by the end of class, you'll know what you can say or what you could share in this situation. And so oftentimes just how we set up the situation gives the students allowance to say, I have no idea, or it gives the students permission to give what they feel like may not be a perfect answer. Because students like to please their teachers, students like to please one another. And so if we can lower the bar and let them know, hey, I don't expect you to get this exactly perfect, but that's what we're going to do today, is to work on what a good response to this situation would be, then it makes the learning process a bit more approachable. And students can enter it not afraid that they don't know the answers on the front end, because you're letting them know we're going to work on this through the rest of class. The point is not to have it right on the front end. The point is to learn something through class so that you can have a good response by the time we're finished. So after doing that, if you choose to show the video, I would highly recommend that you print out the quote, or that you show it on a second screen or something so that students can read along. That way it'll also give you opportunity to refer back to the quote. Just another thing that will set your students up for success. And then after you've talked about, what that might be, the curriculum recommends, that students come up with their own answer and then rate your answer to the situation on the following scale of 1 to 4. 1, not confident at all. 2, somewhat confident. 3, confident. And 4, very confident. And then, ask students to provide another answer at the end of class and see if their confidence increased at all. The rest of the lesson is fantastic. It's got some really good teaching ideas. It has them write some things in their student journals, good questions, good discussion topics. And at the very end, the supplementary material here, extra quotes to help you as a teacher make sure that you're ready to answer any extra questions that might come up. So when sharing quotes or asking students to analyze something, really pay attention to how you set the ask up. Set them up for success. And sometimes success is letting them know that they shouldn't be afraid of failing. Because success is just students sharing. Success is not them saying the exact right thing. Success is them opening their hearts and sharing from their hearts and being willing to engage with the material and to engage with one another. And that's what's going to create this environment where students want to share and learn together. So set the quote up in the right way, and I think it will lead to a great discussion about the importance of repentance and accountability and baptism, and why it is that little children don't need that. So I hope that was helpful. God bless you as you wrap up this seminary semester, and I'll have another training for you next week. Till then, take care.